Welcome to The Glitter Effect, a podcast dedicated to shining a light on the movers, shakers, change makers, and all-round living legends of our communities who are making a real difference. All right. Today's guest on The Glitter Effect is someone who has stitched together a global movement of compassion, one tiny heart at a time. Sarah DeJonge is the founder of 1000 Hearts, which is a kindness project born from her desire to offer people comfort in a simple yet very tangible way. What began in 2016 with a simple act of care, which involves sewing little felt hearts to give those in need of hope or healing, 1000 Hearts has blossomed into an international community of heartmakers and givers who are spreading love, connection, and gentleness around the world. Amongst other things, Sarah is a writer, a deeply thoughtful human, and a true glitter spreader. Her project reminds us that even the smallest acts of kindness can ripple out in the most powerful ways. Sarah DeJonge, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome you to The Glitter Effect.
Thank you so much, Kate. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you for giving up your time. I know you're very busy. Let's begin with the heart, literally, of 1000 Hearts. Can you tell us what is 1000 Hearts and how on earth did you come up with the idea for this and bring it to life?
Yeah, sure. So 1000 Hearts started as a random act of kindness, a very personal act of kindness. It quite quickly grew into an international community, and now it runs as a social enterprise and still as a global community. How I came up with it was not with any intention of it becoming any of those things, really. It really was just me wanting to do something that really focused on kindness, that healed me a little bit. I had just come out of a separation from my husband. I was parenting on my own, shared with him, but I was living on my own with the kids, and was experiencing some pretty bad anxiety. And I just wanted to do something that was healing for me, that offered something good to the world, because I knew that for me, healing would come through connecting with other people and feeling that I was contributing something meaningful.
That's amazing to come to that point. Firstly, can you explain to the listeners what 1000 Hearts is and what the actual concept is?
So it's a kindness project that's based around small felt pocket hearts, and they're hand stitched with care and good intentions and shared with the intention of connecting and showing compassion. So it's very simple. It really is just that, I'm making something for, to show somebody kindness, and then sharing that either directly or indirectly with people who need some kindness. And to be honest, we all need kindness. So I think that's how it's become such a global movement.
And it's so simple. And this is what I absolutely love about this. We were talking before we came on, and I stumbled across you, and I was so excited to stumble across you because I just love everything, because it just goes to show. We talk a lot on The Glitter Effect about ways people can spread glitter with purpose, and it doesn't have to be giving $1 million to a charity. Well done if you can do that, but you're doing exactly that. You have your purpose and you're spreading it in where it matters. I love it. So I know this beautiful project was born from your previous work and life experiences, and as you say, a desire to bring comfort in a simple and tangible way. When was the moment that you decided to sew your first heart? I know you touched on it just then. And firstly, presumably, do you have a background in sewing? Because personally, I could have a go, but I think they might be a bit sketchy.
Yes, I definitely do. So I come from a long line of makers. Both my parents are artists. My mum was very into textile arts and crafts, and I had grandmothers who taught me to sew and cross stitch and all of that when I was very young. So from a very young age, I was sewing clothes for my dolls and making little stuffed animals, and just doing sort of craft in any spare time that I had, and I loved it. So the sewing was a very natural way for me to express that kindness and intention. So that's how it came about that I was sewing. When I made my first heart, I was working in a hospital providing emotional support for people and their families. And I worked a lot during that time in the grief space. both through people dying and that
Mm-hmm.
end of life and bereavement process, but also people grieving their previous healthy status and their previous lives when they were diagnosed with serious illness. I worked with parents who had stillborn babies, people who lost loved ones very suddenly through the emergency department. So I was moving across a lot of different departments in the hospital and just coming across a lot of loss and grief.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the first hearts to offer to people in those situations who had lost a loved one in the hospital that I was working in. So the initial intention was to provide something for people to hold on to in a time of sadness.
Mm. That's beautiful. And they are really sort of they're not hand size even. What's the dimension of them, the
They're four
hearts?
and a half centimetres across at their widest point. So they're little. They're really,
Yeah.
they are pocket hearts. They're designed
Yeah.
to be stashed in a pocket, but they have been stashed in many, many places by many different
Mm.
people.
It's beautiful. And like you say, it's something that is meaningful to you, and probably quite therapeutic in some sense, was it, along the way?
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many aspects of therapy in the making and sharing of hearts, and
Mm.
there is the physical act of sewing is a very mindful, slow act, and it is intentional that it's hand sewing,
Yep.
so that you sort of have to slow down and take each stitch with intention. And they are small, so you can sort of achieve one quite a short space of time. So they're also quite practical if you're doing one in your lunch break at work or sort
Yeah.
of, busy people. But yeah, so there's therapy in the act of stitching itself. There's also therapeutic benefits that are evidence-based around focusing on kindness and acting towards a kinder world. So when we
Mm.
share kindness or experience kindness, it does fantastic things to our brain chemicals. It makes us happier and healthier. It improves our well-being. It can have a really positive impact on anxiety and depression.
Mm.
So there's a lot of therapeutic benefits in that. And then when you're sharing the hearts, you're connecting with other people. And I think we all know how good that feels. And especially when it's a positive interaction and you're making a difference to somebody's day. And when they show that appreciation and gratitude, or you just see that smile light up their face, then that sort of makes everybody feel good. So yes, I would say definitely one of the most therapeutic things I've ever experienced.
That's great. And you started by sewing them, but is it my understanding that it's not just you that sews all the hearts now?
Oh, absolutely. There's like a global network of thousands and thousands of artists around the world now. So people are sewing hearts in lots of different places around Australia and in other countries, and running their own heart making groups, making hearts for their own purposes. So when I initially set it up, I very purposely made it very inclusive
Mm.
and very accessible, with the idea that people could pick up the idea and run with it in whatever way worked for them in their location.
Yep.
And as I said before, it was never intended to be what it's become. So I did set it up so people could get involved without me having to do everything.
Yep.
So, and it continues to work in that way, although a lot of people do work directly with me as well. So people have options.
Yeah. So you said it's a global movement, what's the furthest country you've landed? And I love the term heartists. I think that's amazing. What's the furthest flung from Australia, for instance, that
Well,
you've?
I'm terrible at geography, so I can't talk in distance. But the most random or sort of I guess the one that surprised me the most was Kazakhstan, that hearts
Oh,
went there. Yeah,
yeah.
and a lot have gone to the Ukraine. We've got several artists who continually make blue and yellow hearts for Ukraine,
Yep.
for refugees and people impacted by the war there. And but there's a lot of artists in the US. There's several in the UK, Hong Kong. They've gone to so many different countries in Europe and around the world. So it's quite amazing.
That's incredible. And so, what surprised you the most about the way people have actually responded to the 1,000 hearts?
I think just the fact that it resonates for so many people. For me, it was when I came across the idea, or when I had the idea and started doing it and started giving them out, it was incredibly powerful for me. And I just got really hooked on it. I didn't realize that so many people would have that same response to it.
Mm.
And it's beautiful because it's this shared experience that I have now with thousands of people around the world, where we just kind of get that, once you start doing, doing this simple, tangible action towards kindness, it does just bring so much into your life in terms of, something to do when you're bored or lonely or feeling a
Mm.
bit low, or when you're just hanging out with friends chatting, you can make the hearts. So it's something to do, it's something to contribute, and it's a way of sort of connecting and building a community around you. So, yeah, it's quite incredible. I mean, the whole thing shocks the life out of me, to be honest, that I'm sitting here I'm sitting here 9 years after I set out to do that project, and I'm doing it as my full-time job, and I'm connecting with so many people and partnering with amazing organisations. I just am constantly bamboozled by it, to be honest. I can't
That's
believe it.
it's so beautiful. That makes it even more pure from that perspective as well. I can't say how much I love this enough. And so do you, obviously the sewing, are you doing speaking opportunities? Did you have speaking opportunities, or what else do you do as part of Thousand Hearts?
Yeah, so I've started to do a few speaking opportunities. That's more of a recent thing. So having this as my full-time job has freed up a lot of time to do different things. So I'm still a little bit finding my way with it, but I guess this year I'm able to clarify my purpose a bit and focus in. So yes, I'm doing some speaking. I'm running workshops in schools and community groups, and quite keen to get into some of the corporate spaces as well. I
Mm,
think it could
yep.
be really beneficial there. And I'm developing a leadership program where I will be mentoring and coaching people to run their own Thousand Hearts project in their community or workspace or school. And so that's really about giving other people that opportunity to have a little bit of the joy and reward that I've had running a Thousand Hearts, where you kind of facilitating it and planning how that might work for different spaces and different people and different cohorts.
Mm.
And I'm really looking forward to that, because that's something in my past work that I've really enjoyed in my management roles, is supporting people and helping them build skills, build confidence, learn new things, and contribute positively to their environment. So I
Yep.
think that's going to be something really fun and rewarding.
That's great. And you've touched on it already, and we were saying about the community aspect of A Thousand Hearts
Mm.
is so unique and powerful. What does community mean to you personally? Because everyone's got different ideas about this.
Yeah, community for me is really about connection, and us as humans building those connections and stepping up for one another. I think if you're part of a community, you're looking out for each other. You're paying attention to each other, and you're thinking about what your contribution is, and everybody's kind of doing the same, and people are contributing what they can. And that way you get that rich diversity and beautiful mix of different strengths and skills, and you can kind of dip into other people's strengths and what brings people joy, and you learn from one another and sort of face life together, I suppose. And it's just those people who have your back, and it's a feeling of belonging, I think.
Yeah, which I think we all saw was highlighted, dare I use the word, COVID, during that time. And just to reiterate, your project actually started, 1000 Hearts started in 2016,
Mm.
where the focus was on connectivity and stuff that we actually all came to experience on a global level. How did 1000 Hearts reach people throughout COVID? And did you actually see a shift or an increase in the demand for the hearts during that time?
COVID and 2020 was a really interesting period for A Thousand Hearts, because a dear friend of mine submitted me as a kindness hero to an ABC program right at the start, and I was selected to be part of that. So ABC Television did a piece about A Thousand Hearts, and I remember they had planned the filming schedule for that piece, and because lockdown came right in between them planning and it happening, we had to totally change the way that it was filmed. And there was a lot of people sending in videos, and a lot smaller crew came down to Tassie to film it than was planned, and we had to really adjust and adapt, as everybody did through the
Mm,
pandemic. But it was very interesting for me, because that piece went to air, I think it was March or April 2020. And so people seeing that connected with A Thousand Hearts in a much deeper, more
Yep.
meaningful way, I think, than they would have otherwise, because everybody was looking for something that would keep them connected
Mm.
and sort of maintain that sense of community and belonging that we all crave. And so within 2 hours of that piece airing on television, my shop sold out completely. I was on Etsy
Wow.
at the time, and I remember I had over 200 orders, and I just remember looking at my order list going, I don't know how to process this many orders. Like, this is not what I do. So it was a massive adjustment for me, and it never went backward after that. That was really
Yeah.
a very big growth point for A Thousand Hearts. And through the pandemic, it was ideal. I mean, if I had sat down and planned a project that would be appropriate during a pandemic, I don't think I could have done it better if it had been my intention, because
No.
they're posted, they're little, you can do them on your own at home, you can join online with people to do it. And so it was kind of the perfect COVID activity in the end.
Well, it's almost like the perfect storm, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there were so many positives. And I've been talking to people that, we were talking about how the world has gone back to how it was
Mm.
pre-COVID. But to hear from you that it hasn't in this part just means that there are parts of that period of time people really did like. And I think
Mm.
connectivity was one of the biggest things there. So
Mm.
Thousand Hearts definitely filled that void. Now you've said it's just you basically running Thousand Hearts, so to
Yeah.
speak. So that's a lot of logistics. You just said about your orders. That's huge.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously it's grown organically. I'm assuming you, other than doing the amazing thing on ABC and during COVID, you haven't really had to do too much advertising or spruiking. So what have been the challenges or the triumphs that have shaped how you run 1000 Hearts today?
The challenge is and has been from the beginning that I'm a single person enterprise, really. So, everything from the social media, the production of kits, the sales, the meetings, the workshops, the emailing, the website updates, all that. So that's all me. I'm not sure how many people actually realize that, especially people coming new to it. I often get emails, "Hi, Thousand Hearts team," and I think it's just me over here, me, myself, and I. So look, I mean, one of the goals for the next 12 months or so will be to get a casual employee in to sort of at least help me with some of the production, or
Yep.
start to get some help around that. I guess the beautiful thing is there is this whole community of people out there making hearts and sharing them. So even if I stepped back completely or something happened to me, Thousand Hearts would keep going in terms of the community.
Yep.
The business side of it would stagnate or need to be taken over, but the community itself and the impact of that would keep going. So yeah, look, I was getting quite stressed about it for a while and sort of thinking, the responsibility and the weight of that was sometimes getting to me. But now I just think, look, how lucky am I? It's such a
Mm.
beautiful community, and I feel very supported, and I have very consciously pulled some really good support people and mentors and advisors on board in the past 12 months, which I'm, so lucky to have amazing people who will help me
Mm.
and often offer those services for free, because they know that it's a small social enterprise and I don't have a lot of spare funds. So, and they want those funds to be able to go back out into the community with our free hearts and that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's like everything, I think it has its pros and cons.
Yeah, of course. But how has the journey affected you personally, particularly when you're talking about human connection along the way? What have you learned about human connection and any other learnings in that part along the way?
I think, human connection is really crucial, and there's lots of different ways of connecting, and people have different needs around how they connect with others and how much they need that. So it's really interesting to sort of experience a lot of different ways of connecting. For a lot of artists, it's enough to sit at home alone sewing hearts, but they feel connected to a greater community, so they don't have that need to really get together in groups or have a lot of face-to-face contact or social style contact, while other people will gather in groups and do that regularly and really vibe off that sort of environment and being in the same space as other people. So I think connection looks different for all of us, and
Yep.
it's always worth remembering that. One of my biggest learnings, I think, personally, has been around self-compassion, and really learning on a very deep soul level that you can't be a compassionate person unless that compassion includes yourself.
Yep.
I don't think you can say that you're living by the value of kindness if you're not kind to yourself. And I've, like a lot of people, I have struggled with that aspect in the past. I've got a lot better at it, but I still have those days where I really have to remind myself that, if kindness really is my leading core value, then that has to include me. And it also has to include those other people that are sometimes hard to be kind to.
Yeah, yeah. I teach that to I've got 3 young boys, and I say that to them all the time. And I have to remind myself to practice what I preach. And I always say to people, say to them, if there's anyone in their life that they may not like that much, I always say everyone's born the same way. There's kindness in there. It's your job to find the kindness and bring that out of them. But I have to remind myself as an adult to do that too. So yeah, I
Absolutely. And
totally
it's
get
not,
that.
liking someone is very different to being kind to them. I mean,
Yeah.
liking and connecting is a more emotional response, whereas
Mm.
being kind, you can consciously choose to be kind to someone. And
Yep.
even if you're not feeling affection for them, you can still choose to act in a kind way. And I think
Mm.
that's our superpower.
Yep. I love that. I love that. Now, we talk a lot on this podcast about glittery humans and who's inspired us or uplifted us. I like to refer to them as glitter kings and queens. Have there been any glitter kings or queens in particular that have helped you along your path and along your journey to where you are today?
Yeah, look, I mean, the initial, I suppose, spark of inspiration came from a guy called Jeremy Goldberg, who runs a kindness project called Long Distance Love Bombs. And back in probably 2015 and before, I was following him on social media, and he was doing different stuff to me, but he was really working to make kindness cool
Mm,
and really put that message out there, and leaving little cards around for people to find, and just spreading that message of kindness and connection. And his project actually provided the initial funding for 1,000 Hearts to post out the first hearts that I made.
yep.
So he was giving out a small series of grants, and I was lucky enough to get one to help me with the postage for those 1,000 Hearts that I made at the beginning. So I'd have to give him a shout out as being, the someone that really inspired me and made me think, well, it's very possible in your own space and time just to create something that is about what means something to you.
Mm.
And I still follow him, and he's doing different things now, but he's still around doing great stuff. So yeah, I think he'd be the obvious one for me. But I've met so many inspiring people along the way, and yeah, I'm also inspired by those people who come to 1,000 Hearts in times of heartbreak and suffering, and find the resilience and healing to keep going, and
Mm.
to find healing through offering kindness and compassion to other people. And when I see people who are really, going through their worst nightmare really in life,
Mm.
but the way that they choose to navigate that is by giving some of themselves, even when they're so depleted and lost.
Mm.
I find that incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm sure you attract some inspiring people just by your nature as well. I can see that happening, and I think
Thank you.
that's really a huge thing for you. So amazing, well done. And so the glitter effect, obviously, we believe that small acts can make a big difference. At the glitter effect, just like your hearts. What does the glitter effect mean to you? I mean, I have got my own personal definition of it. What does it mean to you?
I think for me, it is around that. I mean, when you use glitter, it sort of gets everywhere, and you can never, never be rid of it.
Like it or
um,
loathe it. Yep.
yeah, and I think it brings joy in the moment, and then you sort of spread it around to other people, and then you keep reliving it because you keep finding bits and pieces here and there. And I think kindness and connection is similar. Like you set out to do one thing, like I set out to make 1,000 Hearts, and then you just don't know who you're going to impact with those
Mm,
decisions that you make. And I think if we're coming from a place of goodness, and we're well intentioned, because 1,000 Hearts came from an extremely pure place. I was literally just doing something quietly on my own to offer some kindness in the world. And I think when we do that, and there is true good intention behind what we do and there's integrity in that, people do pick up on it and then they spread it. And kindness is massively contagious. So it is a bit like glitter. And it is a bit like a virus, like once a few people have picked it up, then they start to spread it to others, and it just, there's that ripple effect that happens. And that if you're spreading something positive, that can be an incredible force for good in the world.
Yeah, beautiful. And what's, other than obviously sewing hearts, what's one simple way that people today can spread their glitter in your mind and make the world a little softer? Just today, what's one simple thing that you would advise people they could do?
I think smile at people, say hello, just create a connection somehow. I've got a friend that I met through A Thousand Hearts. He's an older man in Canberra, and he tries, I think it's 10 people a day that he just tries to say hello to or smile at, and strangers, and it makes him happy and it makes people smile, and he's encouraged some people in his world to do the same, and I think that's incredibly powerful. Just smile at someone, say hello, do those really simple things that help us feel like part of a community, and it makes everybody feel happier and more connected.
I love that. I actually, funny story. I'm one of those people. When I go for a walk with my friends, and my girlfriend always laughs because I'm always the one that says good morning or hello to people.
Yeah.
Only because you never know how that might change. I don't do it purposefully. I do it naturally, but I hope it makes their day start well, at least, or give them some sort of purpose. But yeah, I'm pretty annoying to some of my girlfriends.
You just never know how you're going to impact people. And I've been in that situation where I've been walking and I've felt really flat and someone's given me a lovely big smile and said hello, and it really lifts you. Like it just, I just walk, I find myself walking on and I'm just got this big smile on my face, and you just makes your day start in a better way. And I think we can all do that for each other. It's so simple, but we get caught up in all sorts of things sometimes that prevent us doing those super simple, free, easy things that make our world so much better.
Yeah, but I think as long as there's people like you in the world, we're in a good space. If there is anyone, and I can't believe there wouldn't be anyone who wants to find out more about A Thousand Hearts and how they could either get involved, where do they go? What do they do, Sarah?
The best place to start is the website. So that's 1000hearts.com.au, the number 1,000. But just shoot me an email. There's a contact form on the website. I'm always happy to reply and answer questions. So yeah, the website is the best place to start. And then I'm here if people need more information.
Amazing. Sarah DeJonge, this is from A Thousand Hearts. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy heart-making days and joining me on The Glitter Effect. Your story, your passion, and the absolutely beautiful way that you lead with your heart has truly touched me, and I hope it touches anyone else who's listening to this. What you've created with 1000 Hearts is way more than a kindness project. It's actually a gentle reminder that thoughtful actions can create deep and lasting impact, as you've said. And your glitter shines quietly, but super powerfully. And that is your superpower. And I'm so grateful that you've been able to take the time out and share it with us today. Keep stitching hope into the world, one little heart at a time. And we look forward to seeing what is next for you and 1000 Hearts. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you for joining me, Kate Ganneil, on The Glitter Effect. If you've loved this episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep showing up, making an impact, and sprinkling that glitter wherever you go. Bye for now.